Yo, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Irfan Rahman Risham, and today I am going to present to you my analysis of question 3 regarding war and culture. Let's go. Before we begin, let me tell you a bit about Cold War. Alright, the Cold War was a period of geopolitical conflict between the US and the USSR, or famously known as the Soviet Union, and their respective allies, the Western and Eastern blocs after World War II. Its beginning and its ending are debated, although it is generally agreed that it began with the Truman Doctrine in 1947 and ended with the Soviet Union dissolution in 1991. The phrase Cold War is used because neither superpower engaged in a large-scale combat, but both sponsored huge regional battles known as proxy wars. The rivalry centered on the two superpowers' ideological and geopolitical fight for global hegemony following their temporary union and triumph over Nazi Germany in 1945. To gain domination, nations used indirect methods such as psychological warfare, espionage, propaganda campaigns, global embargoes, and competition in sports and technology such as the famous space race. First, there is the global cultural war of economy. The Americans practiced capitalism while the Soviet Union practiced communism. For the economic communism, Americans saw the Soviet Union as oppressive. The government is elected in a capitalist state and free speech is guaranteed. To put it in another way, a communist state is one where the Communist Party controls the economy and society. Americans who view freedom above everything else sees this as oppression. The global cultural war is also a social conflict. Back in the Soviet Union, Soviet banned Western music, clothes, and current contemporary politics such as maybe women's rights, LGBT, and so on. For those who going against them, they saw it as treason to their country, as communism demanded equality and loyalty to the state. As a result, most Soviet people sought shelter in the West, following to the policies that the communist country had developed, like no outside material unless if it's something that is from us. Besides that, war is also an activity to reveal the dominant ideology of the day. During the Cold War, noteworthy wars occurred. To stop communism from spreading, Americans fought the Viet Cong in the Vietnamese jungle. The Americans believed that if Vietnam falls to communism, the neighboring countries would follow, maybe Thailand or Malaysia or India. This is called the domino effect. And this will reinforce the Eastern Bloc and making communism the dominant ideology, and this is what the Americans don't want. Next, the Cold War also featured technology. Both sides, the capitalist side and the communism side, believe that their society and their culture is more technologically advanced than the other. The Soviet Union led the way in the famous space race with the launch of Sputnik, the first man-made object to be sent to the orbit of the space. Most Americans were stunned by Sputnik's launch because in the American imagination, space exploration was the next frontier, extending an age-old heritage of exploration and discovery that they have practiced since the day of their colonialism. And in 1958, the US launched the Explorer 1. Regardless of that, the Soviet Union launched the first man in April 1961, Yuri Gagarin. While on 20th of July 1969, the astronaut Neil Armstrong of NASA's Apollo 11 became the first man to land on the moon. But however, the moon landing may have been engineered and orchestrated to illustrate that capitalists always prevail in technology. bottom line, in the end of the day, it is all propaganda to show which culture is better than the other. Lastly, we have culture shock. During the Cold War, culture shock happens all over the place, but notably in Germany. During the Cold War, the Soviet Union dominated East Germany, while the Americans ruled West Germany, because Germany was split into two and divided between the two powers following their triumph against Nazi Germany in 1945. The East Germans are stunned by the wealth in the West and decided to stay there forever because the East side isn't prosperous enough compared to the West. Following to this, due to the lack of workers in East Germany, factories were closed, forcing the economy to collapse. Hence, the Berlin Wall that divided Berlin into two, East Berlin and West Berlin, were built because they wanted to keep the Germans in. However, the actions of the East Germans are justified, because they don't have livelihoods back in East Germany, so that's why they defected to the West. Basically, it is driven by culture and it's driven by desperation. So that's it for my analysis of question 3. I hope that you guys will understand my explanation, and I will see you again next time. Thank you. Assalamualaikum.